In the shadows of post-war Japan, while a nation looked westward in search of inspiration, one man chose a different path, a path of tradition, discipline, and unshakable spirit. That man was Tatsuo Suzuki, a true warrior who didn't just practice karate, he lived it. From training in sacred shrine gardens to enduring freezing nights in a foreign land, Suzuki's journey was anything but easy. But with every challenge, he only grew stronger. He wasn't just mastering techniques, he was forging character. As the world embraced icons like Bruce Lee, Tatsuo Suzuki stood firm, representing the soul of Wado Ryu Karate with a fierce commitment that transcended borders. He wasn't seeking fame, he was seeking truth through martial spirit. This is not just a story about kicks and punches. This is the legend of a man who carried the torch of Japanese tradition into the world. Tatsuo Suzuki, the spirit of a warrior. Tatsuo Suzuki, April 27, 1928 to July 12, 2011, Yokohama, Japan, was an 8th Dan Japanese karateka instrumental in spreading the martial art of Wado Ryu Karate to Europe and the United States. Early life. Tatsuo Suzuki as a child had a keen interest in kendo and judo, and at the age of 14, he began studying karate under Hironori Ohtsuka, the founder of Wado Ryu Karate. After 6 years of studying karate, Tatsuo Suzuki obtained his 3 Dan, and in 1951 he was awarded 5th Dan, the top grade in Wado Ryu at that time. Complementing the karate, he was 2nd Dan in Tenshin Koryu Bojutsu and 1st Dan in judo. He also studied Zen doctrine with the high priest Genpo Yamamoto and Soyen Nakagawa. In 1975, he received the 8th Dan, the highest grade of the Japan Karate Federation and the Wadakai. In that year, he also received the highest, the title Hanshi. In Wado Ryu, the only other person with that title was Hironori Ohtsuka. The Suzuki family decided to move to Tokyo in 1941. However, they moved to the village of Wadamura because of the bombing of Tokyo by American bombers during World War II. They eventually moved to the nearby city of Hamamatsu. In Hamamatsu, while attending school, Tatsuo Suzuki had the opportunity to learn kendo. He also participated in athletics, competing in the long jump. In 1942, Suzuki began learning Wado Ryu Karate from the older brother of a friend who was studying at Tokyo University. The training consisted mainly of fighting and very few basics. After the war, Suzuki and his family returned to Yokohama. Suzuki found a job working on an American base at the post exchange store. Wanting to improve his English, Suzuki signed up for classes at the YMCA. The YMCA had karate classes which he also signed up for. The classes were taught by Kazuo Kimura, a 5th Dan and one of Hironori Ohtsuka's senior students. After the war, the practice of martial arts in Japan had been banned by the occupying American force. The karate classes were described as Japanese boxing to get around the restriction. Suzuki trained at the YMCA for 6 months before the group had to move. He trained at various locations before eventually training with Hironori Ohtsuka. Suzuki will travel to Tokyo several times a week to train with him. In 1947, because of the consistency of his training, Suzuki was asked by Otsuka to be his assistant. He assisted Otsuka in many of the demonstrations he gave. He also had the opportunity to meet many great martial artists of the time, including Morihei Ueshiba, Kyuzo Mifune, Gogen Yamaguchi, Yasuhiro Kenichi, and Yukio Sugino. To deepen his understanding of karate, Suzuki frequently traveled to Tokyo to train directly under Otsuka Sensei, a man he admired deeply. Otsuka was the epitome of the warrior scholar, kind and elegant outside the dojo, but inside, a fierce and focused teacher who led by example. The dojo's senior black belts were men hardened by war, mentally tough and physically unyielding. Training with them was a test of true spirit. In those early days, sparring had no rules. Groin kicks, eye jabs, and throat strikes were all permitted. Matches between university teams were fierce, almost tribal. The crowd often roared for blood, and some even attacked visiting fighters with sticks. Referees rarely stopped matches unless death seemed imminent. The floors of the dojos were often soaked in blood, and protective gear was non-existent. Broken noses, lost teeth, and shattered bones were common. Eventually, Suzuki and other martial arts leaders recognized that such brutality was a barrier to spreading karate globally. They came together to establish rules and safety standards that would preserve the art spirit while making it accessible to a wider audience. But through it all, Tatsuo Suzuki never wavered in his commitment. He carried his warrior's code with him throughout his life, leaving behind a legacy not only of technical mastery, but of humility, strength, and an unshakable devotion to the Japanese martial spirit. In 1948, Suzuki was promoted to 3rd Dan, aged 19. Suzuki enrolled at Nihon University on an athletic scholarship in 1951. He joined the university's Wado Ryu Karate Club. In 1951, Suzuki was promoted to 5th Dan by Otsuka. He was aged 24. He jumped grades from 3rd Dan to 5th Dan. At the time, 5th Dan was the highest grade in Wado Ryu. After graduating from university, Suzuki became a professional instructor. He helped Otsuka teach classes at the Wadakai Hombu. He also opened his first karate club in Hamamatsu. This was followed by clubs in Shizuoka, Aichi, and Nagoya. Suzuki also taught karate at various universities, including Aichi University, Shizuoka University, Nagoya University, and Meiji University. Hironori Ohtsuka decided that he wanted Wado Ryu Karate to be promoted around the world. He sent Suzuki, 5th Dan, Toru Arakawa, and 4th Dan, Hajime Takashima. In March 1963, the three men began a 2-month tour. The tour began in Rome, Italy, followed by a stop in Milan. The tour continued in Switzerland and Hamburg, Germany. In Paris, France, they met Hiro Mochizuki, who was teaching in the country. This was followed by a visit to Spain and Holland. The final stop of the European tour was England, where they gave a demonstration at the Shinto Ryu Kendo Club. The next stop of the tour was in the United States, where they carried out 50 demonstrations. The tour began on the East Coast. In New York, they gave a demonstration on the Japanese pavilion at the World Fair. The next stop of the tour was Washington, where they visited the dojo of Taekwondo pioneer Jun Ri. Following the visit to Florida, Suzuki, Arakawa, and Takashima visited the West Coast. In Los Angeles, they visited the Shotokan dojo of Tsutomu Oshima, where they gave a demonstration of Wado Ryu Karate. Following their trip to San Francisco, where they visited the dojo of Yoshiaki Ajari, they visited Hawaii. This was the final stop of the tour. In 1963, after traveling the world to demonstrate Wado Ryu Karate, he chose to settle in England in 1965 to teach, despite facing language barriers and cultural challenges. Initially, he relied on a Japanese-English phrasebook to communicate with students, but quickly rose to prominence as one of the most sought-after martial arts instructors in the country. Though he had doubts about teaching Westerners, believing, as many in Japan did, that they lacked the hip power due to sitting in chairs, he soon discovered they could adapt remarkably well to martial arts training. Life in England was difficult at first. He missed Japanese cuisine and culture and endured harsh living conditions, including a freezing bedsit that forced him to train just to warm up before bed. There were no Japanese shops nearby, and homesickness often weighed on him. However, the rise in martial arts popularity during the Bruce Lee boom brought him into the spotlight, landing him on television and in newspapers. With fame came challengers, many of whom were unqualified. One man, falsely claiming to be a top student of Bruce Lee, boasted that a month of training with him could defeat any opponent. Outraged, he challenged the man through the same publication, but the so-called expert backed down, claiming he had already beaten him a statement clearly meant to dodge a real confrontation. Through these challenges, he continued to prove his skill and earned widespread respect in the martial arts community. Even after decades of teaching, he remained dedicated to his art, training regularly with the instructor at his London dojo to stay sharp and deeply connected to the true martial spirit. Master Suzuki formed the first Wado Ryu Federation in England and from his base in London expanded throughout Europe. He brought students from Japan, taught them how to be instructors, and sent to various countries in Europe. In a few years, the Wado Ryu became a very popular karate style in Europe. In 1991, Suzuki decided to form his own federation to safeguard the essence of Wado Ryu as he was taught by his teacher Otsuka. He formed the Wado International Karate-Do Federation, WIKF. Beginning in 2005, Tatsuo Suzuki faced a period of illness that tested even his formidable spirit. However, driven by unwavering determination and mental resilience, he made a remarkable recovery and returned to teaching by 2006. Despite the toll on his health, Suzuki remained deeply committed to the future of Wado Ryu. Over the following years, he began the careful restructuring of his federation to ensure its continuity beyond his own lifetime. In 2008, Suzuki took a significant step by appointing a World Technical Committee, tasked with preserving the technical integrity and unified standards of Wado Ryu across the globe. This move reflected his long-standing dedication to consistency and excellence in instruction. Just a year later, during the 2009 European Championships, Suzuki made another historic decision. He formally stepped down as World Chief Instructor and named Sensei John Wicks as his successor. It was a powerful and humble act of leadership, emblematic of his lifelong vision for the art. On July 12, 2011, the martial arts world mourned the loss of one of its greatest icons. Tatsuo Suzuki passed away, leaving behind not just a technical system, but a profound legacy of honor, dedication, and martial spirit. His life's mission had always been to preserve the original teachings of Hironori Ohtsuka, the founder of Wado Ryu Karate. In pursuit of this, he had established the Wado Kokusai Karate-Do Renmei, an international organization built on the foundations he had inherited and fiercely protected. Bibliography: Karate-Do by Tatsuo Suzuki, Editions Pelham Books Ltd. Suzuki, The Fullness of a Life in Karate. June 5, 2009, Zlibris. Tatsuo Suzuki's legacy lives on not only in the dojos he helped build or the students he trained, but in the unwavering spirit he carried throughout his life, a spirit rooted in humility, sacrifice, and discipline. His story reminds us that true mastery isn't found in victory, but in the daily pursuit of excellence. Whether you're a lifelong martial artist or simply inspired by the journey of the warrior, Tatsuo Suzuki's life is a testament to what can be achieved through dedication and courage. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories from the world of martial arts. See you in the next video.